Well, it's the end of the weekend, isn't it? We've had some bad news today, haven't we? In the world of show business. Well, we've had a couple of bits of bad news, to be honest. But before I do that, let's have a quick shifty through all of the chat and see who's here already. I see some of the regular names. Alan Pape, Cosmic Wartoad, Julie Keys, Michael May, Ian Kirkpatrick, Julie Baldwin, Terence Oakes, Kev M, Michael May, Tyrone, lots and lots of you here. It's good to see you all. Howard Bowen, Patricia Shaw, Christine Ayres. Who's this? The Elderwise Pirate. Join the Computer Doctor, and loads of you. Good to see you all. You obviously saw I was down the beach earlier today, and I'd done that video just about the old DDs where I saw the waves crashing into the shore. It kind of reminded me of what kind of conditions are out there way out in the ocean, and I thought, oh, this is interesting, isn't it? But anyway, we're not here to talk about that. We can talk about that later. Let's have a look, shall we? Bring up the old tablet. If I can remember the password, that is. Yes, as we know today, we've come to the sad news that Dennis Waterman is no more. He passed away at the age of 74. I found these earlier, and please divulge me if you will. If you want to, I'll change the situation. Right people, right time, just the wrong location. I've got a good idea, just keep me near. I'll be so good for you. I could be so good for you. I'm going to help you. Love you like you want me to. I'll do anything for you. I'll be so good for you. I'm not singing it because I'll murder it. I could be so good for you. Recognize it? I'll do it like you want me to. Love you like you want me to. There ain't nothing I can't go through. I'll be so good for you. There, of course, are the lyrics to Minder, the theme tune to Minder, one of his better-known roles, and I absolutely loved it. And he obviously sung on himself. Bless him. Rest in peace, Dennis. No, I found this wonderful list of, some of his career highlights. I'm still in shock he's dead at 74. I don't know who else is. I mean, give me a one in the chat if you are. I mean, 74 is no age. It's the same age as my dad. It's still very, very young. Hello, Sharon Shooter, and hi, Mum. Hope you're okay. Here we go. Dennis Waterman, star of Minder and New Tricks, dies at the age of 74. The legendary actor, whose career spans 60 years, died on Sunday afternoon with his wife Pam by his side. 60 years? I didn't know he went that long. He must have started as a kid. The family kindly asks that our privacy is respected at this very difficult time. Waterman, who had varied roles in comedy, drama and horror, found fame as a teenager in BBC drama William. Not one I've ever seen, I don't know about you guys, and became well known for his role as tough nut cop Detective Sergeant George Carter opposite John Thor in ITV's police drama The Sweeney. He went on to star as a bodyguard, Terry McCann, in Minder, and landed a long-running role as Jerry Standing in New Tricks from 2003 to 2015. I did like that. I didn't see loads of them, but I did like that. Waterman also starred in ITV's Where the Heart Is, The Canterbury Tales and Moses Jones. The star also known for singing the iconic theme tune for New Tricks and Minder. He was also an accomplished actor in the film world, starring in some 29 films, most recently in 2020. Here's a picture here. I like this picture. That's him and his daughter Hannah. Hannah Waterman. I remember her in EastEnders. That was a few years back. I think she got mixed up with that Squealy Beely type, didn't she? For those of you that remember that. Waterman was married 4 times. First to Penny Dixon, Then to Patricia Maynard. He was later married to Ruth Lenska. And finally to Pam Flint, who he tied a knot to in 2011. Waterman is survived by his two daughters, one of whom is EastEnders actress Hannah Waterman, who we've just seen. She played Laura Beale. Tributes have poured in, with Matt Lucas saying, I grew up watching Dennis Waterman's iconic performance in The Sweeney and Minder. There's tributes from Paddy McGuinness, Reece Shearsmith, Jonathan Southcott, some people I've never heard of here, but there you go. A very, very, very big character within the industry and will be sorely, sorely missed. Rest in peace, Dennis, and condolences to your family, loved ones, and all of those that knew you. I was absolutely shocked when I read that, to be sure, totally and utterly shocked. So let's say a prayer. Yes, it was Rula Lenska, but it said Ruth in there. Yeah, you're dead right, Victoria. Let's have a look, see what some people have had to say about it. Had a rather fractious relationship with Rula Lenska, but I hope that's all behind them now. My mother and father both passed at 70, very unnerving. Yeah. My stepfather passed at 67, and, you know, before that's no age at the time, but anything around late 60s, 70s now, it's still as young can be in my book. Where else are we? Weren't Dennis and George also in the same episode of The Sweeney once? I don't remember that one, Cosmic Wardrobe. I did like The Sweeney too. Anna Perkins, same as me, 68 on the 5th of June, bring your own mortality into very sharp focus. It does, doesn't it? I mean, even at my young age, I've lost a couple of friends close to me, close to my age. And you think, shit, it just reminds you of the passage of time, doesn't it? Just William, this man started very young. He was in Oliver as well. Wow, I didn't know that one. Hi, Andy. How did he die? Did he have a certain pokey medical procedure and got heart problem? I have no idea, Zena. I haven't found anything mentioning any of that in the press. It's literally, he's gone. Please respect the family's wishes at this time. So sad. I'm shocked. Just heard that's Linda Haynes. Yeah, it's shocking to everybody. We either knew or grew up with him, didn't we? In some way or another. I mean, out of the two minders that Arthur Daly had, Dennis Waterman for me every single time. Lorna Mackenzie, he and George Cole made a great duo. Yeah, and as far as I remember reading, Dennis Waterman sung the Minder theme tune at George Cole's funeral, from what I remember. Got the thing to Minder on my smartphone. I would play it in the live stream, but I don't want the copyright touts to have a go at me when I'm trying to pay tribute. You know what I mean? Michael Lawrence, R.I.P. Dennis. Lots of love here. Hi, Slurpy Dave. Bridget as well. Hi, Andy. Oh, my God. Dennis, R.I.P. That's Jane Griffiths. So many tributes there. And I'm sure we'll all remember him somewhere. Bloodnose has been a Cabby Level 1 member for 2 months. Thank you very much for your support, Bloodnose. And that level's only £1 a month with no ties. And it just goes to fund my coke habit. So I appreciate that very much. Thank you, everybody. Christine Ayres, 74 is no age these days. Absolutely. All right, you lot. Got some people in here. That's wonderful. Hello, Julie Baldwin. Yes, there's a few people in there asking how, which is an actual question, I suppose, and some of you have pointed out what it certainly could be, but there doesn't seem to be any mention of it anywhere in the press. I remember Dennis Waterman in Minder, so sad to hear he's passed. Yes, loads and loads and loads of you. Right, well, that's Dennis Waterman, and I guess we'll all pick a memory of Dennis and something we saw which we liked him in. Me, of course, it will be Minder. I remember the Sweeney kind of. Well, it'll be more the reruns in my age, but yes, probably New Tricks as well for me. I like both of those very much, but probably Minder tips it every time. The other thing I'd like to pay tribute to, and may it forever rest in peace, is of course Doctor Who. They've really done it now, haven't they? You see, they revived Doctor Who some time ago to great fanfare. Of course, we had Christopher Eccleston playing that incarnation of the Doctor that lasted for one season. We had David Tennant, who replaced him, who arguably for me is probably the best, if not one of the best Doctor Who's there has ever been. Then along came Matt Smith. I quite liked him. Yes, blood knows. Tom Baker, arguably one of the best. Then we had Matt Smith, who came along. I didn't take to him at first, but I liked him in the end. Peter Capaldi, not so much. Then we have the current experiment, the female Doctor Who. And I think a lot of people have been turned off by the woke storylines and the silliness. I'll admit, when Peter Capaldi was on, I started to lose interest. I don't know whether it was Peter Capaldi so much, but rather some of the stories were drifting a little bit that way. I certainly haven't watched it really since the young lady's been on, because I think the storylines are ridiculous in the way they've been told. And now we come to, the new choice of the Doctor Who, a name I can't even pronounce. Nkuti Gatwa or Kuti Gatwa. I have no idea who this fella is, let alone anybody else. But there you go. Doesn't he look like a very nice boy? Maybe on a certain bus that some of us aren't. I'm not sure, but this is apparently the new Doctor Who, and appears to tickle the right boxes, doesn't it? With what's going on with the world. Now, before I tell you about this guy, welcome to the chat with Andy the Gabby Cabby, everybody. I hope you're all right this evening. I can't believe the numbers we got in the chat. It must be all about Dennis. If you haven't done so already, please hit the like button on the chat. You can do that by just clocking the thumbs up. It's down there or somewhere around. Anyway, thank you very much for that. If you haven't done so already, and this is the first time you've watched one of our live streams, please consider subscribing to the channel as well. We could do with those numbers getting up, and we're currently on about 138 likes on this live stream now, so thank you for that. As the thing with Blood Nose come up earlier, we do have YouTube channel memberships as well. If you want to support the channel in that way, it's only £1 a month, the bottom level, and it just, little token gesture keeps me in Coca-Cola. So thank you very much. Right, somebody's just put John the Computer Doctor. Doctor Who ended with Capaldi. I'm afraid I agree with that. And so, somebody said Doctor Who was only supposed to regenerate a certain number of times. Well, of course he was. But then he was gifted more, wasn't he, around the time of Matt Smith. But here we go. Actor Nkuti Gatwa, I can't even say it, will take over from Jodie Whittaker, the nice young lady who played Doctor Who, the BBC has announced. The 29-year-old will become the 14th Time Lord on the popular science fiction show and the first non-white performer to play the lead role. It's always about race and sexuality with them, isn't it? Every fucking time. Never mind whether anybody's a good actor or not. It's always got to be about box ticking bollocks, basically. But here we go. Let's carry on. Scottish actor Gatwa, who was born in Rwanda. How does that work exactly? Are you Rwandan or are you Scottish? If you're born in one place, more box ticking. Is best known for starring in Netflix's sitcom Sex Education. Oh, really? Have you seen or heard? I certainly haven't. He told BBC News, it really feels amazing. It's a true honour. This role is an institution and it's so iconic. You bet your bottom dollar it is. And unfortunately, that iconic role, if the BBC don't start reading the audience anytime soon, is going to go down the Swanee the same way as last night's curry would. It's not good. Speaking on the red carpet before Sunday's BAFTA TV Awards, where he was nominated for Sex Education. Oh, the lucky boy. Gatwa said the role of the Doctor meant a lot to so many people, including myself. He added, I feel very grateful to have had the baton handed over, and I'm going to try to do my best. I'm sure he will, but unfortunately he's been caught up with the usual box ticking bollocks, basically. Gatwa will make his debut as a Time Lord in 2023, so that's not too far away, really. Yes, when Russell T Davies came back, Michael Lawrence, you make a very good point there. I had high hopes that we would get back to something like what it used to be, but showrunner Russell T Davies said Gatwa had impressed him in a blazing audition. It was our last audition. It was our very last one. The writer and producer said we thought we had someone, and then he came in and stole it. I'm properly thrilled. It's going to be a blazing future. The Queer as Folk and It's a Sin creator, who is returning to Doctor Who after departing in 2009, posted a selfie with Gatwa at the BAFTAs. Well, that's probably the big clue then, wasn't it? The actor is nominated for the BAFTA for Best Male Performance in a comedy programme, of all things, for the third year in a row for playing Eric in Sex Education. Although the title of that seems a little bit appealing, the premise doesn't, I'm afraid, and I've never heard of it. I don't know if anybody else has. As well as being nominated, he presented the BAFTA for Best Scripted Comedy at Sunday's ceremony and received a loud round of applause as he walked on stage. I still can't say his name. Somebody help me. Is a very shrewd choice for the role. He's incredibly popular with viewers in their late teens and 20s. What about old gammons like me who like Doctor Who and grew up? I suppose we're all thrown under the bus now, aren't we? He has more than 2.5 million Instagram followers. Oh, big deal. I've got about 5,000. And that's likely to shoot up even further after today's announcement. Doctor Who, like so many programmes, is eager to win back some of those younger viewers, so the sheer interest from someone like him being involved is going to help with that. That's not to put aside the fact he's an exceptionally gifted young actor. He's absolutely brilliant. He's been nominated for the BAFTA, so he's not just been cast because of what he can demographically bring in. Bullshit. Yeah. Oh, sorry, that stuck in the throat there, didn't it? It's a double bonus because he can bring in that demographic and, in theory, give a fantastic performance. Well, they've just double negatived themselves there, haven't they? It's not all about demographic, but yet, despite the fact he's a good actor, he can bring in that demographic. I think they've tripped over themselves there. Gatwa said he was definitely going to do my own thing with the role rather than modelling himself on any previous Doctor. Well, that's kind of the idea. When they regenerate, there's somebody different. He said his writing is dynamic, exciting, incredibly intelligent and fizzling. I'm bored of this now. It just goes on and on and on, trying to justify why he's the best choice for the role. But I remember when Daniel Craig was cast in the role of James Bond. We were presented with this very dweeby-looking young actor in a suit, and he came on, and we thought, who the hell are you? And nobody really wanted to give him much of a opportunity, but how wrong we were. He proved to be very, very good, arguably one of the best Bonds of all time. Whether this gentleman will prove us wrong remains to be seen, but at the moment it looks like the usual box ticking exercise, doesn't it? It's really, really crazy. Right. Last couple of days I've brought you some bits about the old dinghy divers and what's going on there. And I was down the beach earlier with Jack and Dawn, my wife, and we were digging holes in the sand and doing everything that you do down the beach. And I was just watching the waves crashing into the shore and how rough and inhospitable it looked coming in. Beautiful it was, lovely scenery, it certainly was. But then you're struck by the fact trying to land on that beach from a point many miles away on a dinghy must be very, very treacherous. I know we have them all escorted in to Dover and all that area by the RNLI, who, by the way, I saw buzz past me in one of their little ships 2 or 3 times today. And we even had some people landing in Viking Bay, which was a little bit further around to where I was today. And I thought, why are they risking life and limb doing this? It's unbelievable, unbelievable. But I'll bring you something else in a minute, because somebody made a comment about some processing centre that was being going to be put into Yorkshire, and I thought, what's going on here? Why, what's this about? So I had a look today, and I found something which I'll bring you in a moment. But what I want to do again is welcome everybody to the chat today. If you haven't done so already, please consider hitting that like button, give the thumbs up a bash, that would be wonderful. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to the channel too. We're really doing well, and starting to get up into the 30,000 and so many hundreds, and it's wonderful to see, and I appreciate all the support. You see some people in the chat with a little circular disc thing next to their name. They are channel members, and most of them chuck £1 a month into the old Gabby Cabby fund to keep me in a coke habit. Cheers. And there's no ties to that. It's literally just a token gesture, and I appreciate that. We will have some merch coming down the line soon. I did have some basic stuff online, but Julie Baldwin, one of our moderators and channel members as well, has kindly redesigned a load of stuff for me, and we'll try and get those out as soon as we can. So it's wonderful, and we've just hit 200 likes. I'm really pleased with that, so I appreciate that very much. Thank you, everybody. I'm just going to have a quick buzz through the chat, and we'll see it. Michael May says, what was the club called in Minder? That was the one down the stairs, wasn't it, with the oh Jesus, I can't remember. It was, Jesus, does anybody know? Because that's going to bug me. What was the club called in Minder? I hope you can have a good rest now after the hard day's work, Alan. Yeah, Alan Paper, it sounded like you had a bit of a long day there, so take it easy, my friend. Don't say the word coke habit. I won't, Tyrone. I mean Coca-Cola, of course. Enchanted Blue, hi Andy, hello to you, good to see you. Those that watch Doctor Who, do they know what the TARDIS was and why it has police written on it? Stink Pooter, I know. I know a TARDIS looks nothing like a police box, and they had this imaginary thing called a chameleon circuit in the TARDIS. For those of you that don't know, it could be anything from a piano. It could turn anything from a piano to a flight of stairs, but it just so happens it ended up as a police box and ended up getting stuck like that throughout the whole series. I think in effect they're just a metal tube, really. Yes, there you go. The Winchester Club was the name of the club in Minder. Thank you for that. Many of you are answering that question. Anna Perkins, sorry, but Jodie Whittaker was the Bonnie Langford moment of the current run of Doctor Who. Both actresses falling foul to bad scripting and casting. Yeah, that's a good point. How much of this is down to the actors and actresses in there, but rather the showrunners who really want to try and send a message across? I mean, another thing I was reading, there's a new Star Trek series out, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and that comes out in this country in June when we can all get our hands on Paramount Plus. And while I look forward to it, and it's been getting some good reviews, there's parts of it where they've used some footage and some messaging to do with, the current political setup in the world as we speak, and they've even had a thinly veiled dig at Trump over it. Now, I think people need to learn to leave the fuck alone, really. Time and relative dimension in space, that's it, Gary Moores, that's what that stood for. Where are we? The Fritz Report has become a member of the Gabby Cabby Club. Welcome to Cabby Level 1. Thank you very much for your support there. Much appreciated. And let's go and have a look, see what else we've got. Any prudent points? No, I think we got up with anybody. If anybody has put a comment that they would like reading out and I've missed it, please repost it and I'll get to it on the next thing. Well, let's go back to these dinghy divers, shall we? Yeah, when I did a couple of bits on it over the last couple of days, somebody mentioned something to me about a thing to do with a processing centre which nobody wanted, basically where it was, and it was up in Yorkshire. And I found this thing today which we'll go through. The headline is, "It's the wrong plan in the wrong place. Furious residents say they fear for their safety amid outrage over Priti Patel's Guantanamo on ooze plan to house 1,500 asylum seekers in a sleepy Yorkshire village. Former RAF base Linton on Ouse, I could bloody say that either, near York, set for 1,500 asylum seekers in a tiny village with 700 people as their population. Residents are shocked and fear the Guantanamo on Ouse that will see their sleepy home double in size. You know, imagine that. You've got 700 people in a village, and all of a sudden you're going to end up with 1,500 dinghy divers next door. Isn't that quite incredible? I mean, we have a thing down here, and I kicked off about it a while ago, where up at the old RAF Manston base, they had an air training corps squadron up there that had been housed there for years, and they were told, get out, sling your hook, off you go. And the reason was they wanted to use the ex-military facilities there as a processing centre for the dinghy divers. Now, that air training corps squadron went over to Margate and merged with my old air training corps squadron, which I was in, 438, God bless them. And 438 ended up actually going. The actual squadron name disbanded. Its memories and its colours no more, and it was replaced by 2433, which is the one that came over from Manston. So that was a great cost. And 438 had been around since, well, World War II, basically, that kind of era. But anyway, let's get back to this. Villagers who face being outnumbered 2-1 by asylum seekers say they are still in the dark about Priti Patel's plans for a new processing centre they fear will destroy their community. Residents in Linton on Ouse, forgive me if I mispronounce that, which contains just 700 registered voters, have been stunned by plans to house more than 1,500 refugees at the former RAF base in the middle of the village. They also speak of their concern over the lack of facilities, where one shop sells mainly newspapers. There's no police presence and a failing sewage system. So it's a typical out-of-the-way village by the sound of it. They're not going to like that one little bit, the old dinghy brethren. Speaking to the Mail Online, residents also said it was the wrong plan in the wrong place, which will see hundreds of young men roaming around the village and blame Priti Patel for trying to turn their home into France's Calais jungle. The news comes as the government's new asylum seekers policy will see people flown 4,000 miles to Rwanda. Don't tell them lefties that went to dinner with Priti to have their claims processed following a £120 million deal with the African country. Again, it's very telling that, they keep talking about this deal with Rwanda, but what they're not telling us is that we're going to expect a load of them back here in return. We give them dinghy divers, they give us Rwandans. It's crazy. Villagers are also backing the local council, who is set to mount a legal challenge against the plan that will see locals outnumbered 2-1, and has already instructed lawyers to prepare arguments. Damn right, they should fight this tooth and nail. But unfortunately, I get the distinct impression that once these things are in motion, they're in motion. There's not really a great deal you can do about it. The Real Pollyanna has just upgraded her Gabby Cabby membership to Cabby Level 2. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate that, and I look forward to the support. You know what I mean? Now I'll have to start doing a bit more exclusive content, as I've got a couple of people on there, but you leave that with me. Linda Scarborough, 68, a retired librarian, now volunteer guide at local historical sites, said it's a not NIMBYism and said Britain is very welcoming to those in need, but said it was the wrong plan in the wrong place. I think we're too welcome to those in need, personally. She explained there has been no consultation. It has come as a bolt from the blue. The first I knew about it was when it was announced on the local radio, of all places. It's amazing how you find out some news. Somebody could be watching this YouTube channel right now and find out. The parish council knew about it, nor did the district council. The key people from the village arranged a public meeting. Only a few people from the Home Office came, and they declined to attend the second meeting, probably because they know they were screwed. Michael Lawrence, welcome to Cabby Level 1. That's wonderful. Thank you for joining our channel memberships, and thank you for the support. Much appreciated. They're free to come and go. The Home Office cannot detain them, and the airfield is not secure. So effectively, 1,500 of them are going to move into this village, and you know, it's going to be a free-for-all. It's crazy. It's just the uncertainty. We do not know what the plans are. I just think they've not thought it through, because there are so many questions they cannot give us answers to. I know of three houses in the village that we sold subject to contract before the announcement. Surprise, surprise, they're all back on the market now because the buyers dropped out over this news. I don't think people will be able to sell their houses. It's just wrong, totally wrong, for 1,500 single men to be put in a village with only 700 in there. Do you notice the key theme here? 1,500 single men. I think they're kind of admitting here that all of this, women and children, and it's all bullshit. We know who's coming over here full bloody well. These people need to be in conurbations, that's a posh word, where they have access to help and support. No, they don't. They need to send him fucking back or stop him coming in the first place. Don't get me started. We have 4 buses a day into York, and the last one is at 5 o'clock. So it's not really served by a lot of infrastructure by the sound of it. Obviously, a lot of the asylum seekers will have come from difficult situations, and they're going to be traumatized. They are going to be put into what is basically a field with nothing to do and nowhere to go. As far as I'm concerned, it's not good for the village. It's not NIMBYism. Our country has always been welcoming, but it's just the wrong plan. Miss Scarborough, who has lived in the village for 9 years, added, everyone is really friendly, everyone speaks to each other. Everyone's very uneasy about what may happen, to be honest. I would be apprehensive about going out on my own. I've never felt any fears about going out, walking in the village, but it's just the apprehension. You see, it's scaring a lot of people, all this, very much so. Peter Barrett, 71, a retired transport manager who's been to the refugee camp Calais, known as the jungle in France, said it's not a very nice place. I saw all these half bricks lying in the road and was told migrants had been throwing them through windscreens of lorries to get them to stop so they could steal stuff. The land the base was built on should go back to the village and be returned to agriculture. I blame Priti Patel. Half the people around here don't even have burglar alarms, and if you see a policeman, you ask him if he is lost. Sounds like most streets in the UK now, doesn't it? If you have a wife and kids, it makes it even harder. If you've got a lot of young single men about, you're lucky to even see a bus around here. I bumped into one of the senior policemen involved, and he didn't know the base was in the middle of the village. He thought it was a mile away. Catherine Dryden, 60, a villager for 10 years, agreed with the local council who wants to mount a legal challenge, saying it was unlawful. She added, it's a lack of consultation. It's the process of what the Home Office are trying to do, which we consider unlawful at this point. The figure of 1,500 is just a baseline. It will increase. The government is dumping them in a small rural village where they will outnumber us 2 to 1, if not more. We're not against supporting asylum seekers. It's the numbers and how it's being dealt to us as a done deal. None of us knew anything about it until it was announced on the TV. I mean, that's disgusting. There should have been consultations. We are hoping a judicial review will succeed as a challenge, but we have no idea. We do not begrudge asylum seekers. This is just a quiet village. Yet the government has been very clear it will support asylum seekers in conurbations. They will not get that in a small village. No, they won't. You know, a lot of these RAF bases abandoned were probably around the time of war, and some of them were probably based or started on a field next to a village with a local pub, which the RAF pilots came in and done everything. It's absolutely nuts crazy. It really is. Trevor Dawson, 72, a former civilian mess worker at RAF Linton on Ouse, who moved back to the home where his family have lived for 3 generations in 1993, is concerned about disorder breaking out in a new centre. Of course it's going to break out. They'll be pissed off with it, as well as attracting right-wing groups, a village where his grandfather was a blacksmith. He said, I don't know what is going to happen here. We'll have to wait and see. There might also be fighting between the different groups. We understand there will be mainly lads. I did not want to sell the house when my dad died, so I came back to live here. So you've got a whole collection of stories here about, long-time residents who are deeply concerned about the consequences of this on their village. You've got a lot of ladies and elderly people that are concerned about the consequence of getting descended on by 1,500 people, and they freely admit that, it's going to get to larger numbers. And you've got concerns from the shopkeepers and everyone else. And yet again, this has probably been drawn up by somebody in some building, in some office in Whitehall somewhere, that has probably never seen this village in their entire life. It really is a crazy, crazy situation, to be sure. I don't know what the answer for them is. Do they defend their village? Do they, 700 outnumbered 2-1. It's crazy. I've done videos over on this the last couple of days, and also if you look at the pure patriotic nationalist side of things as well, I drive down Margate seafront very regularly, and there's somebody there in a duffel coat with a hood and a blanket, and they're there every morning, and they've spent the night there. Why aren't they being looked after? We have so many veterans on our streets. Dennis Kearney, thank you very much for the tenner super chat there. That's very much appreciated from you. I appreciate that so much. In fact, it looks like a super sticker. Got a little hippo thing with a hat there. That's wonderful. Thank you for the support. And everybody else that's signed up for memberships and things this evening, I appreciate it. Yeah. And the other thing as well, you've got veterans. Jim Davison's always going on about veterans and what can be done for them. Again, they're not being looked after. Everybody else is. We're giving billions of pounds over to Ukraine. Where is the money for people in this country that have problems paying their gas and electricity bills, for example? The list of double standards and the imbalance between the thems and us goes on the whole time. And you look at these poor bastards up there. There's a lot of rural communities throughout this country, from north to south, that probably do have little villages that have been like this for generations. And the last thing they want is for a load of outsiders to be forced on them. And the problem is, if they're put in a field with nothing to do, as it seems that's what it's going to be, then they'll kick off. That's the way they do things. And then, what happens then? Who's going to sort it out? There's so many problems with this. It's unbelievable. Listen, everybody, it's been great tonight. It really has. We've got some great numbers here. I haven't remembered numbers like this for a long time. And I appreciate all of you coming along. I really do this evening. It's good to see everybody. If you haven't done so already, I would appreciate it if you could hit the thumbs up button on the chat and try and help us get up to 300 likes. We've not done that for quite a while, and I appreciate it. If you haven't done so already, also please consider subscribing to Andy the Gabby Cabby, the YouTube channel. We do regular videos every day, and this regular live stream as well. We do what we can. I'm literally just a bloke sitting in his cab talking what I consider common sense, just normal stuff. You know, we read so much in the news every day, don't we? And we're starting to see the wood from the trees. Really now, what is truth and what is lie. Alan Edge, Sabir Karma will be gone next week. He could well be. He could well be. We've had a little bit of sign up and support on the channel memberships on this live stream. I appreciate that. A couple of cabby level ones and a cabby level 2 as well. So thank you very much for all your support there. Remember, there's no ties to any of that. If you just want to go, here's a quid, Andy, buy a can of Coke, I appreciate that. It's all wonderful. But most of all, the audience and your support you've given us and the likes. I did mention merch earlier. One of our moderators, Julie, has kindly done some t-shirt designs and things like that, and I know they're being asked for, particularly the old shut that door routine that I do every day to keep the lights on, and we'll get that done as well. Thank you, Julie Keys. Yes, it has been a good night. I'm really pleased with that. What I'm going to do now, because I always like to involve you, the audience, I'm just going to run through the chat and see what some of you have got to say, and we'll bring it to your attention. Dennis Kearney, as well as the super sticker you've just given me, you've also signed up to Cabby Level 1 too, and I appreciate that very much. Thank you again for the more support, and we're up to about 316 likes now, so I'm trying to minimize the smile on my face, but I'm really pleased with that. Wonderful. See you later, Neats. Thank you for stopping by. I'm glad you enjoyed it. So let's go through and have a look now. Michael Hancock, we had Newbury Bypass, so-called security back in the day, based near us. Scum, didn't agree with protests, but security scum were worse. Another unwanted reminder of old age, losing the stars we grew up watching on TV. R.I.P. Dennis, thanks for bringing George, Terry and Gary to life. Absolutely right, Brendan, isn't it? The older we get, the more of these people are going. So many over the last few years. It really is sad to see. Every time you see a name, it makes you realise you're getting older, and the past is disappearing further into the past. I suppose where it belongs. It's a very surreal experience, isn't it? Well done, Andy. Keep giving it right. Nice. Thank you, TL. Appreciate the words. Douglas Hellewell. Johnson just given over £1 billion to Ukraine, yet our own get nothing. Exactly what I was saying. How many people are struggling? And I want to do a poll at the end, actually, about that. Rafi, one thing to point out, my friend, I am seeing your messages, and I will get back to you. It's just, sitting at my desk and getting it done, so don't you worry about that. I came for you, Andy, not for Dennis. He. Thank you, Firstborn. Appreciate that. Love you, Andy's army. That's Jane Griffiths. Love you more. We are Andy's army, Rafi says. Excellent. Trevor, sorry, Andy, bit late. You're all right. You're here. That's the main thing. The past is far behind. The future doesn't exist. That's the way of putting it, blood knows. When I look into the past, you do things when you're younger. You do things based on decisions at the time. Some things work out, some things don't. And life's a lesson, isn't it? And as you age, you become wiser, less stupid, or, things make more sense as you work your way through life. I'm beginning to understand that. David Jason for next Nelson Mandela remake. Keith James, as in Nelson Mandela House. That's the only Nelson Mandela I'd love to see him in. You're a gentleman, Andy, says Phil. Thank you very much. Uh, Dennis died in a hospital in Spain. Tyrone Whitehead said, yeah, all I read was that and his wife by his side. I couldn't glean any more information, but we'll see. We'll see. But, at the end of the day, the guy's gone. But the natural question that people always ask, it's just human nature. How? I'm sure that will come out. Hi, Andy. Always enjoyed Minder with Dennis Waterman when I was at school. That's Harry Harlow. No more British money for Ukraine. Yes, well, I can't see that tap stopping anytime soon, but we'll see. Steve Bradman, suddenly I realised I have more years behind than I have left in front. Yeah, I remember going to a funeral with my dad, right? And the guy whose funeral we went to, it was a sad one. And I said to Dad, why? And he said, get used to it, son. He said, the older you get, the more of these you'll be going to. At the time I thought, thanks, but it's true. It's true. Tony had a lovely chat with Dennis Waterman 20 years ago. That's wonderful. Some of these celebrities you can actually just bump into, can't you? And some of them are salt of the earth. Others can be a pain, but a lot of them are salt of the earth. Stop supporting the cardboard war. Trump and white hats are winning. God wins. Night blood knows. Sharon Gardner, we also lost an uncle, 73 last year. My cousin, a doctor, she wished she never pushed that back on her dad now. I don't want to go too far down that road, Sharon, and everybody else that's mentioning that, but it's amazing the number of sudden pulmonary conditions and head-related things that we're suddenly seeing appearing, isn't it? And there appears to be more now over the last couple of years than there ever has been. And that's all I'm going to say on that, because we all know what the YouTube algorithm does with that sort of thing. I still watch Minder on ITV3, brilliant programme. Oh, it's excellent, it really is. Real Pollyanna, got to run. Good night, Andy the Gabby Cabby and everybody. Thanks, Real Pollyanna, and for your support as well. And see you next time. Alf Garnett for PM. Could you imagine it? Diane Abacus trying to die. Jesus Christ. Yeah. Hello, love. Why are you here? You going? Yeah, that could be the debate of the century. Sitting in his armchair. On the other hand, imagine challenging the bank to prove they did not commit fraud on the mortgage deed in cahoots with the solicitor, prove it was ending the mortgage agreement, blank checks being written. There's a few financial things in there. Dennis was my teenage crush, Enchanted Blue says. Bless you. I was a golf caddy for the Variety Club, Tony says. Is that where you saw Dennis Waterman and some of the others? A lot of them take up golf, don't they? A lot of them do. I always remember seeing Sean Connery in a hotel in South Africa years ago, and I recognised him straight away. And I didn't want to jump up and down. Oh, Sean Connery, James Bond. And he turned round, he looked at me and I looked at him, and I kind of tipped my hat kind of thing and just gave him a wry smile just to, let him know I've identified who he is. And do you know what he did? He smiled back and walked off. And I thought that meant more to me than a handshake and all the other fuss. And he probably appreciated not getting hassled as well. Sometimes it just takes that, I suppose. Michael May, Arthur Mullard. I always said, wait a couple of years for the shakeout of the Rich Planet has new programs on the subject. Scary stuff. Tony says, yes, you see all the celebrities. I think Dennis was a boxer before he was an actor. I've seen pictures of him fighting Harry Harlow, but there are pictures at the in the earlier Minders, particularly. I remember pictures of seeing Dennis Waterman in boxing gloves, so they could have been the real thing. You never know. Dennis did a lot of charity work. Saw him play football at Hitchin Town Football Club, there, Zulu says. That's wonderful. I wonder if my uncle might have done as well. He was an amateur boxer. Okay, thanks, Tony. That clears that one up. Sharon Garner, spot on there, Andy. Acknowledge them, but leave them to live a life. Sad the way Sean Connery's life ended with dementia. I remember him as Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones's dad. Yeah, that was great. That film, Christine. I mean, the ironic thing is there wasn't a very big age gap between Sean Connery and Harrison Ford at the time, was there? But one was playing the other one's father, and it's like, okay, yes, but they pulled it off. There was just on-screen chemistry. I always remember with Sean Connery, when we went from the hotel to from the airport to the hotel in Cape Town, we were told Sean Connery was there. And all of a sudden, as we were arriving at the hotel on our coaches, this big motorcade came past. And out of one of the vehicles stepped Sean Connery. He turned around and looked at our coaches. And apparently, I found out the next day, he said, well, if they didn't know I was here before, they do now. I think it was supposed to be a bit on a shushy, that one. I think it was a holiday from memory. I mean, I'm going back a long time now. And I remember him at breakfast time, as I said. And I remember, I suppose, one of his assistants or one of the hotel staff trying to find out what the rugby score was for him the following day as well. So that was, 3 occurrences of the late Sean Connery. I met Jeff Rowe a few times as Jeff Rowe. He genuinely was a compassionate man. Yeah, Bridget, and I saw an interview he did once, which was a rare one, and he hated all of the fame, didn't he, and all of that side of it, but he just enjoyed his job and made people laugh. Yeah, Cosmic Wartoad was in Highlander. Great in Time Bandits. I've seen that one, Christine, but I can't really remember it a lot. Joe Burgess, catch up with you tomorrow. Good to see you. I met Edward Woodward in Callington in Cornwall back in the 90s. That's another actor that's sadly no longer with us. I love The Equalizer, the original, and I can't be doing with all this remake rubbish. Dennis was in a film fight in the 70s. He was a looker. Gene agrees with Kim Alliston. Shut that door in 30 seconds. I'm a bit late on that because I did an early one and it's a bit mistimed, you see. Right, everybody, I'm beginning to mutter, so I think that's about the time we wrap up proceedings. We haven't been hijacked by Jack this evening. He's indoors somewhere. He was watching the Alvin and the Chipmunks movie, but he could well be getting ready for bed now, and I'm off to the airport early doors, so that's also good. I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight. I named the chat RIP Dennis Waterman because I wanted to spend the first 10 minutes or so just talking about him. He meant a little something to everybody, depending on your age, your generation, and your likes and what you remember. But I think the common thread throughout, of course, is Minder and Terry and Arthur Daly, bless them. And let's not forget, of course, the Sweeney with John Thor. Tomorrow, we will be back with another live stream and some more content out there. Again, if you haven't done so already, please thumbs up before you go. We've done very well on that this evening, by the way. I want to thank you for the super sticker. It's €10, but it translates to about £8.56, and the couple of upgrades and new sign-ups for the Gabby Cabby channel membership as well. Some of the things coming down the pipeline, I keep mentioning t-shirts. When that's the one bloody box that is. It's typical, isn't it? When I first started this channel, people were talking about mugs and various other things of that nature. I thought, yeah, what the hell, let's have a bit of that. And I made some of these things, my mug on a mug, which I used to call it. And I'm not a very good artist, so I just slapped some of them out But Julie Baldwin, one of our moderators and longest serving subscriber, should we say, has kindly taken the trouble to do a load of designs for me. And when I get the chance, I'm going to start getting there, getting them put about and up online for people to see and take one if they want one. So it's wonderful. Anyway, what's left of your Sunday, please enjoy. I'm sure those of you that pay your £1 a week will be off over to the Church of Belfield very soon and go and listen to what he has to say. Very good to see you. Appreciate you all as always, and I'll see you tomorrow. Ta-da, everyone. Toodaloo.